Hey, what's going on guys? So Max here with another Unreal Engine video. Now I've been making a lot of Unreal Engine 5 Archviz interior videos using Lumen, and some of y'all are wondering if something like this, like Lumen, is possible in Unreal Engine 4. So what I'm going to do in this video is go ahead and show you how to use the NVIDIA plugin, the RTX Gi, and then walk around with my Vive camera like I've been doing here recently. So to download the NVIDIA RTX Gi, you simply have to go to the marketplace, like always, and then search for RTX Gi. So let's go here, RTX Gi. Let's go here and then click on this external link right here. Supported engine version is 4.27. And then if you scroll down, agree to terms, it's gonna let you download it. Okay, go click download, save. Okay, so we have that folder where it's downloaded. I just unzipped it with a program. It's right here. And you just copy this and go to your Epic Games folder, local disk, program files, Epic Games, 4.27, Unreal Engine, plugins, runtime, NVIDIA, and you just copy and paste it here. So that's all you need to do in these folders. So close this, and I'll pull up the Unreal Engine. So to enable RTX Gi, you just have to go to Edit, Plugins, RTX Gi, click Enabled, and don't restart yet, because what we need to do is actually enable ray tracing. So project settings, ray tracing, check mark here, and type in RHI because we have to change it, similar to how we would, turn on regular ray tracing. Check mark DirectX 12. Now, once you restart your project, you should be back. And what I did here is I just deleted everything. So you can see I have no lighting. I just have pretty much mesh right here. Okay, so it is pretty ugly. Additionally, what I'm going to do next is go to Edit, Project Settings, and turn off all static lighting because we want dynamic, similar to Lumen. So I'm going to go ahead right here, and you're going to see Allow Static Lighting. I have that turned off. So that's good. So let's walk around. You're going to see here, pretty boring stuff, and it looks really ugly. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and go to our output log and enable the plugin. So if you type in experimental right here, global illumination experimental plugin, go ahead and make that into a 1, so it's true. Additionally, if I type in RTX Gi, DDGI, double DGI right here, make sure also that is true or 1. So it's good and it is plugged in. All right, so next step is type in the actor classes right here, RTX Gi. We'll drop that volume in here. I'm gonna zoom out because what we'll do is we will kind of increase the size here so that it matches our scene. So that was a little bit too much. Let me see if it's going on the other side. Let's try 10. Okay, and then we'll do 8 for the height here. Now, you don't have to perfect this, but it's totally up to you. It's better if you do. But it's really just your preference. That's a little bit too much, right? I'm gonna reset this here so we're in the center. I guess the environment is not in the center, and it is still pretty big. Maybe a 4. Let's try that. Put that in the middle, really nice. I'm pretty happy with that result right there, so we'll do it like that. I'm gonna change my camera view or speed to just 1. All right, so RTX Gi works with probes. So if I click on Visualize Probes right here, how it works is whenever you use this volume, the scene is populated, well, on the back end with probes that collect light, and kind of this is how it works, which is pretty cool. I think some people don't like the whole probe thing, but I like it. So the next thing we will do is actually increase the probe so it's a little bit more dense. And again, this is totally up to your scene, so don't copy these numbers here because I'm just looking around to make sure that there's an even distribution on my probes here. So 8, 12, and this also increases the quality of the solve. And then the raise per probe right here, I usually crank this up, and again I have an RTX 3090. You might not be able to do this, so just play around with your setting. Maybe 10 right here. Let's try that, and we'll go to 432 right now. All right, next step is going to be turning on a light, because right now we have the probes, but it's not really doing anything. So let's drag and drop it here. I will change this to immovable, and then I will just kind of rotate it here to give our scene a little bit more light. As you can see, it's pretty good. And you see that our probes are starting to kind of, get bright, which is what we want. I'll just extend this light here, and this is not our final look, but I just want to cast some light across the room here. Okay, so let's create a couple more things. We will create a skylight. We will also create an atmosphere. So let's do skies, atmosphere in there, and we'll turn on exponential height fog as well. Now for the height fog, we will change the start distance similar to we do lumen. 2000 is good because I want that fog outside, not necessarily inside. So let's scroll up. Right, so now we have this nice sky here. Pretty nice. Okay, so let's start changing some settings here on the skylight. This is a real-time capture. It's just like that. Everything, the color changes because it's mimicking the sky. Okay, I'll also change the source angle. So I'm gonna make this 1 because I want the softer shadows, as you can see right there. By just changing that, I will click the atmosphere sunlight right here. See the difference? It's really nice. We're getting some of that color from the sky. Ray tracing is 1. We'll leave that as is. Now this probe is bouncing up and down. Looks kind of funny. I don't know if it's just kind of glitchy. This is still experimental, very much so an experimental kind of setting or plugin. So just do keep that in mind, all right? Next step is create a post-process volume. Now for this one, we don't have to reset it because there's a setting for unbound. So we will do infinite extend unbound. That means we don't have to resize it. It's going to be affecting our entire scene here. Now for the post process, we will do our usual stuff here. So the exposure, change that to manual. And for like noonish, I can keep this to like maybe 11. And then I'm going to go to my directional light, maybe crank this to 20. And then we will go to our DDGI, which is our RTX Gi. And again, these settings may vary. It might not be the same as yours. Just play around with it. If I scroll down right here, you're gonna see a light multiplier. I will go change that to maybe 20. And so you can see that that's gonna brighten up the scene a little bit. Additionally, if I click on this skylight type on ray miss, change this to ray tracing, and that's going to give us a little bit more realistic, because I mean it shouldn't be too blue. See that? Click that right here, and what we'll do is go to our skylight and refresh it here. Okay, there's a little bit of bug there apparently, so go ahead, so you can see that it's not as dark anymore because we just refreshed it. For the cube map resolution, again, depending on your hardware, you can increase this to get a better quality. Let's try 256 for now, but I'm probably going to be able to crank that up just a little bit. So next step is we will go to the shadow for the skylight because we want this to catch. So we'll type in shadow here, and we want this to cast ray tracing shadow because that looks much nicer. All these changes that you're seeing, and you can actually see it on the probes itself that they're changing kind of like the look. It's pretty cool. All right, go back to our DDG, and again, this is, I'm just kind of like messing around with this now. I'm finessing it a little. Let's turn on our FPS to see how we're doing as far as performance goes. Well, we're at 75, and we'll change this to cinematic and see how that's doing. We're still in the high 80s, 70s, so that's good. I'm not feeling any lag here at all. So, okay, let's go continue to tweak this now. I'm going to go to my post-process volume, and let's start turning on some settings that's going to make my computer cry. So I'm going to turn on some ambient occlusion as well to just help out with it. Enable this. And I'll turn on the radius. So you can see it a little bit. It's really subtle. And again, if you want to crank those up, you can, but just make sure that you're checking your stats. So I'm gonna go tilde. All right, so here is your total MS and MS. You can see we have RTX Gi, ray tracing, reflections. Reflections always uses a lot. I'll turn this off, and we're gonna keep that on and off because, again, we're gonna push this to the highest quality we can with the performance that we want. I will go to the reflections now because I want to turn on ray tracing as well. Okay. Now for these ones, I usually do max roughness to 1 and max bounce to 1 is okay. And for the sample size, again, I'm gonna bring back my stat GPU because now you're gonna see that reflection just kind of got bumped up. And the higher we go with this setting, and my hope is one day they would have like an RTX reflection, you know, like a performance-based reflection. So if I go to like sample per pixel, I put like 4, you can see that that's going to increase quite a bit here. And starting to take some of our FPS right here, which I'm still happy with that, but we'll just maybe leave it to 3. Okay. Now additionally, I am going to be turning on the ray trace translucency. So go here, change this from raster to ray tracing, and you're gonna see that that changes the freaking look, and it looks amazing right now. So turn everything on here, and the difference with ray tracing and raster is pretty incredible. Right, so here, let's see here, we got ray trace at 7 ms, skylight, ambient occlusion, denoiser, and that actually is not taking too much, the ray tracing translucency, so that's good. And let's close that GPU. Press G here. I'll walk around, and this scene is really starting to come alive. Looks pretty darn nice. It's freaking beautiful. Now, if you're starting to notice, compared to Lumen, RTXGI doesn't have that problem with screen space. So you can see my scene is not getting brighter by me moving my camera around, which this is probably one of the benefits of using RTXGI versus Lumen. I know Lumen is more like software, so you know, you don't technically have to have like an amazing RTX card, but if you have the RTX card, why not try, you know, using RTXGI here. We got 50 frames per second. That is still a pretty solid frames per second there, so I'm not really worried about it. Now I will go to the directional light because I want to show you something with the samples per pixel. And then I go to sample. I'll search for sample right here. I'm going to change this to 4. Because what this is going to do is it's going to clean up some of that shadows, and you can kind of see it like right here. See this noise? If I turn it to 4, that kind of stops flickering for a little bit. Again, that's going to cost us some, but we are still pretty darn good here. I mean, look at this. Even the reflections, and I'll move this teacup so you can kind of see it. It's dynamic, fully dynamic. This is awesome. This looks great. And I guess I can show you, you know, what the reflection, the ray trace reflection is actually doing here. And I know in Unreal Engine 5 they labeled hardware ray tracing to be removed. Now I'm not sure if that's true, but if you see it in Unreal, it's marked. But I'm really hoping they don't get rid of the hardware ray tracing, because to me I feel like it still looks better than Lumen. But again, that's just me. So I'll change this to 1, and you can kind of see the noise right here. Now, whenever I render, I usually leave this at 12, but for the editor like this, you know, for the sake of this video and what we're demonstrating, probably a 4 is good. You see that that really cleans that up. Let's turn all motion blur off. I just want to make sure if motion blur is off. Let's go ahead and turn this off here. All right. So yeah, we are starting to slow down, but 40 frames per second is still pretty good on what we're trying to do. And this is kind of what's exciting. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to turn this down because what I want to do is at least crank this up to 120. And you're going to see that that's really going to make my scene look a lot better. But that is going to cost me some right there. So it's really just about balancing. 120 looks like it might have been too much. So I go to like 110. And what's cool about it is if you have like a powerful GPU, more powerful than mine, you can crank this up to 200% and it will look freaking fantastic. And I will turn off that. I'll go ahead and turn off the visualize the probes. So now we just have our scene. Pretty nice. Now obviously I can spend like hours and hours in lighting this here, but what I will do now is just kind of get that light that I want. Now I want some light to kind of splash on that back wall here. Press G, and I'll just turn it kind of like to the right. And as you can see, it is fully dynamic. You don't see the preview letters saying you have to bake the light. You know, it is completely dynamic, and I think I am happy with that. Okay, so we're at 39, 40 FPS, which is not too bad, if you ask me. I mean, obviously it's not like playable like a game. So people say 60 is good, but for the purpose of this video, I think we're good with 40. So the next step is going to be going to my ugly alter ego, Jay, and then walk around with the Vive Pro. Okay, so what we'll do now, again, like I said, I'm going to use the Vive Pro mounted on the shoulder rig, and then I have my phone so I don't have to kind of turn around. I have a camera set up by the monitor so I can look even though I'm not in front of the monitor because I don't have a wireless HDMI right now. Now as far as the Vive Pro, I did, instead of velcroing it, I actually used a little clamp that I've had, like a monitor clamp. You can kind of see it like that. Just clamped it on that cheese plate or that bracket, whatever you want to call it, for the shoulder rig. So here is the living room, and it looks pretty nice. I did have to turn down the reflections from 4 to, I believe, 2, because my computer just was not able to handle it. And I kind of wanted like a smooth, as far as the video, I don't want it to be too jittery. I mean, it is a little bit jittery right now, like I said, because it's pretty high quality here. And my RTX 3090 looks like we're getting 27 frames per second right now. So obviously there's still room for improvement as far as the quality goes. So here we go. I'm going to use my handy dandy phone so I can kind of see what I'm showing you here without looking at the screen. We do have this little table right here. You can kind of see that I showed y'all. And now I can actually walk around because I'm looking at my phone here using it as a monitor, and it works. Might have a little bit of a delay, but it's not too bad. And there's also a bedroom over there on that side that we're gonna check out. And also what I'll do is probably buy another clamp, and I'm gonna clamp this to my shoulder rig so that I'm not holding it. All right. Got some books. Pretty nice. And I wish I had a bigger space because you can kind of see more. And now I can look on the screen again because we're back. Some nice art. I love that. Whenever a light just breaks and hit a wall, it looks so nice. All right. So what we'll do next is I'll go to the bedroom so you can kind of check that out. All right, so we're here now in the bedroom. I have the lens set at like 12 mil. And like I said earlier, you don't see that screen space brightening effect. And even the reflections, if you see the reflection of that painting right there, even if the painting is not on the screen anymore, you can still see the reflection on the floor. With screen space, you wouldn't have been able to see that. Even on the right side, you see that? On this little black entertainment center, some really nice reflections there. This is absolutely beautiful, man. And again, that's just my, I only have 2 trackers, live stations, so it is kind of glitchy. But we are getting like 43 frames per second right now. Right, I'm gonna go to my phone so we can kind of walk around here. I think we're sitting on top of the bed. Yeah. I am really having fun with lighting Archviz stuff using dynamic lighting, whether RTXGI or Lumen. But in my opinion, look at those shadows. I think RTXGI looks better than Lumen, but please do let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm just kind of curious what y'all think. Got a nice chair there, little chess. Yeah, this phone monitor is working really well for me. I just gotta have to mount it on the camera. Pretty nice. I think that's the same painting as outside. Yeah, they're just repeating, which is cool. This bed. And now I can see on my screen, so I'll just look over there. Walk around here. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Just wanted to check this out. It's a pretty nice interior Archviz. Nice entertainment center. And that's it.